Hello students, today's topic is try with resource enhancement. It is a new feature introduced in JDK 1.9. Before this feature is introduced, it is always recommended in Java. You have to close some resources like file writer object you have to close. You have to close the connection object. You have to close the statement object, prepared statement object, callable statement object. You have to close. File writer object must be closed, otherwise whatever the content you want to add inside the file writer object, that is not visible. So file writer object bound to be closed. But the traditional application or before 1.9, it is always recommended that you have to close the resource inside the finally block, because you know that try block executed means the one block must be executed. What the block is finally. So it is always recommended that you have to close the file writer object, you have to close the connection object inside the finally block. Now, what actually try with resource enhancement is? See here, Java introduced try with resource enhancement feature in JDK 1.9, which helps to close the resources implicitly or automatically after being used. This feature specifies that do not need to close the resource explicitly inside the finally block. So in this feature, it is recommended that do not close the resource. That is the job of the system. System close it. If I use this feature, then system implicitly close the resources or automatically close the resources. Now see here, before I am in that is what JDK 1.9, I write the code like this. I just write here import java.io.star. What I want to construct a file writer object. Through the file writer object, I point to a file, and in the file I can write the data. And to visualize the contents of the data, I have to close the file writer object. But it is recommended that you have to close the file writer object inside that is the finally block. It is Java standard. You have to follow the Java standard. Now, what actually happens here? Public class test, public static void main string args. File writer fw is equal to null. Now, till the time fw not points to any object. Within the try block, I just write file writer fw is equal to new file writer xx.txt. Here you see, you know the concept of the file writer. I am specifying xx.txt. I am not specifying any directory. So xx.txt is the file which is created by file writer object. You know that file writer tells that if the specified file is not available, then it creates the new file. And on the other hand, if the file is not available, then it creates a new file. And on the other hand, if the file is available, it replaces the existing file and create a new file. Both the ways it create a new file. String s is equal to welcome to Java Technocrat. fw.write s. In a file xx.txt, it write I like Java Technocrat or welcome to Java Technocrat. Sorry, welcome to Java Technocrat. But I handle exception reference. But you know that the file writer constructor throws one exception, that is file not found exception, and the write method throws one exception, that is the IO exception. So I handle by only one class reference, that is the exception class reference. Then finally block, inside the finally block, what I write? That is the fw.close. You know that close method throws one exception. What the exception is? The IO exception. So I can handle exception. So remember, this is that is what before 1.9, it is the standard It is a Java standard. You can write the code in this way. But in 1.9, the coding standard is changed. It minimizes the code by using this new feature, try with resource enhancement. See here, import java.io.star, public class demo, public static void main string args throws the exception. I created the file writer object, it points to a.txt. You know that. I'm not specify the directory means the a.txt is created in the current working directory. If the specified file is not available, then it creates a new file called as a.txt. If the specified file is already available, then it replaces the existing file and create the new file. Next one is I just write try fw. This is called as try with resource enhancement. This concept inside the try, I give the parameter that is fw. String s is equal to welcome to Java Technocrat. Fine. fw.write s. In a file, I write welcome to Java Technocrat. Catch exception. I have to handle the exception. No need to use close method. No need to call the close method of the file writer class. It is implicitly called. In this feature, it is implicitly to close the file writer object. Anyway, I handle the exceptions. Over. This concept in Java is called as try with resource enhancement. It minimizes the code. It is not the job of the programmer to close the resource, but it is the job of the system to close the resource. If I use try with resource enhancement, then it is the job of the system to close the resource.